What have you seen as some of the needs that people have, or the things they're trying to solve when they start looking into how they're going to do improvement?
Typically, people will engage us to solve one of their current needs, something that's hurting them at the time, generally quite a large problem that they've been researching for some time and need some help to either make progress with a start on, or sometimes they have no idea where to start and they actually need some guidance on what implications the current state has on their business, and then also to where the business could potentially be if this problem was solved.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of businesses actually look at improving. They might be trying to improve quality to differentiate themselves from their competitors. I've also seen businesses where they've grown to a certain size that they're having trouble managing it in general. So engaging with people and being part of the solution to growth and moving forward and continuous improvement instead of being the barrier to it is a big thing for them. I think this might be something you've seen a bit of before as well, that when you're in a business situation where your business has grown to a certain size and you're finding it's a bit unwieldy, you actually end up with this problem where the tribal knowledge within the business which got you so far is not going to work, it's not going to fly any further. Have you seen any examples of that?
I guess with Acura, we can see that there is a culture that's also formed from the people that work there, and it's not a negative thing, but it just comes out of having so many professionals or talented people in a certain area. And then this generally determines the way that they actually tackle the problem or tackle a way to solve something in the business, whether it's simply how to communicate better together, or rules of engagement with improving something, or actually blowing the whistle on something they think needs to be improved. There's generally some, you could call it a tribal culture around typically how we do things here, something like that.
Yeah, I've noticed that businesses that have a bit of a strong tribal knowledge, when they grow and they have to introduce new people, they'll introduce really good quality people. Even their attitude and behaviours fit company culture as it stands. But the thing is that the existing team doesn't realise that those people actually need to build their capability to, I suppose, contribute towards the business, contribute towards the continuous improvement. And they don't recognise that, I guess having high quality processes that people can pick up and actually use are essential if you're going to onboard new people. And it doesn't matter how good they are. If people don't have processes that they can follow, if they don't have a standard way of doing things that's easy to follow and it's intuitive, then they're on the back foot. And they do have to rely on their knowledge, and quite often they'll also rely on what they did previously in another place. So to that end, that ultimately can quite often lead to them doing things differently to the rest of the people in the business, and that creates problems in terms of engagement with the rest of the business. That's not the way we do things around here. Even though that person might be doing the best job they thought possible, if it doesn't fit in with the bigger picture, it's a real problem. Another thing that I've seen quite a lot of is as a business need to do some kind of lean transformation in the business is the whole increasing the capacity. And traditionally, I would say you've probably seen this a bit as well, traditionally businesses will increase their capacity, their ability to do things, create customer value by employing more people and buying bigger machinery. the whole lean transformation or the elimination of waste really is about getting more capacity out of existing overheads. So imagine being able to grow your capacity by 30% and not increase your overheads at the same rate or at all. And that's really what a proper lean transformation is about growth without an increase in overheads. So I think we've seen it before plenty of times where the solution has been to buy a bigger machine or a piece of software.
Definitely.
You've come from software integrations, you've seen, business process modeling, and what's the thing you see again and again and again with those kind of software integrations that catches people out?
I think there's a heavy reliance on resources and distribution of resources, but one of the things that always tends to get missed is unlocking the current potential in a business without adding more resources. I think that's one of the things that Lean and what a value stream transformation project or anything like that really aims to do is it creates some structure or a structured way of extracting the talent and the creativity and also the current resources in whatever form out of the current state in the business to improve it. So without throwing cash at it, without adding machinery, without just adding headcount, we're able to look at how can we better improve what we already have. And whether that be with visual tools, whether that be with a cultural mindset, cultural change, all these things hand in hand work together to sort of push the business into the next direction without a big overhead cost.
Yeah. So I'd say as well, like it's a good point you make about what you can with what you've got, and I think that we'll in further conversations we'll actually bring that theme back in, particularly around things like standardisation. But I think that's for a separate conversation. But I think as well, probably one thing to round out this conversation that's really important is that when you're making a decision around lean transformation in the business, you need to make sure you have a budget or an idea of what you believe is worthwhile spending. And I think you also need to be, if you're not the person with the authority to make the decision, to make the big changes that need to be made, then you need to get that person on board. You need to show them a business case and that kind of thing. And ultimately as well, you need to have a problem you want to solve. Our favourite problem to solve is obviously growth with the same amount of overhead, but there are many other ways we can look at it too. We can say lack of structure, lack of accountability, we need to do an improvement in quality. There's many different reasons why you can implement lean transformation. I think one of the things that people really need to think about when I talk about budget is if you actually take on a lean program and conduct a lean transformation, you've got to look at it as investing in your business. And if done right, it's the same as buying a new piece of expensive equipment. If you were going to spend $50,000 on a piece of expensive equipment and expect to get a return on investment over 5 years, maybe you finance that piece of machinery or that piece of software, and that's a justification for you. What you've got to look at it with a lean transformation is if you're going to invest, a similar amount of money over the course of say 12 months, your return on investment, should you and your people choose to actually implement what you're learning, your return on investment is going to be far shorter than 5 years. Your return on investment will be in the space of months of the savings that you make because people start to eliminate waste out of the process. And that's really, really important too. And I don't think that there's enough emphasis on considering that having the capability built in your team to be a lean, efficient team is actually the same as investing in a piece of capital equipment. And the dividends that it returns are far, far sooner.